Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to her first talk. It is a new year. It is finally a new year. And I know some of you will be like, oh, it's February. Why are you saying it's a new? It is a new year. This is the first time you're hearing my voice, not so? So it is a new year. 2026 is here. And 2025 was doing too much. Okay. 2025 was just doing too much. If you do not agree and you want to return 2025, somehow 2025 was, a very good year for you, I have a ticket for you. Okay. You can just send me a DM or send an email. I'll give you the ticket so you can go back and so that we can have space here. So we can have space here. Now, if you've been listening from day one, if you're one of the OGs, thank you so much for coming back here. I hope you never tire of me here telling you thank you or appreciating you. But if this is your first time, you're very welcome. This is a safe space where we talk about things that women are usually expected to just figure out on their own. All right. We talk about any and everything pertaining women's health, mental health, female health, reproductive system, everything that you don't typically find elsewhere. Now it's a new year, and instead of us starting with pressure, the new year, new me, new body, new habits thing, we have decided to start with understanding. Because before fixing anything, we need to know how our bodies actually work. So, for this first quarter, we're going to be talking about hormonal and endocrine health. And it's not in a complicated medical way. Okay, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's in a way that finally makes sense. Now, the reason for this episode, or what has sponsored this episode, or should I put it more clearly, this episode was proudly sponsored by the discourse that has been happening on TikTok about PCOS, the Diana and AJ thing. People were pretty annoyed by that. So many people have different views on what happened, the PCOS thing. So many people came forward with what they were facing and how it has affected their lives. But one thing I really saw from that is that even in the middle of the debacle, even in the middle of the issue, some PCOS girlies were learning from others. Like there are certain things that some people were ashamed to talk about. That is why this podcast exists. And that is why we decided that for this first quarter, we are going to talk about hormonal and endocrine health because that is something that you do not hear people talk about a lot. And today's episode is the foundation. If you understand this episode, then everything else this quarter will click. Okay? So let's start with what hormones are. Hormones are chemical messengers. They are like tiny WhatsApp messages that your body sends to itself. They tell your body things like when to sleep, when to wake up, when to eat, how to feel, when to ovulate, when to have your period, and how to respond to stress. So when you hear women around you, or when you sometimes hear yourself say, I don't feel like myself, or I'm tired all the time, or my mood changes randomly, that is often hormonal communication. It is not weakness like the previous generation, some of the previous generational mothers, aunties, and people would like us to feel or get. It is not weakness. It is not. All right. It is just your body communicating to you, and I think it is high time that we listen. Now, here's something that is important. Hormones don't work alone. They work as a system. So when one is off, others usually respond. Now, it depends on how off the other one is. Now, you might need to take note of this because I am saying it so you put it at the back of your head, because everything else that I say henceforth will fall back on this. When one is low, the others respond in a different way. When one is high, the others respond in a different way. So when it's low, the others have to make up for it. When it's high, the others have to reduce themselves just to make sure that there's a balance. They work as a system. Put that at the back of your mind. All right. Now, the main hormones that every woman should know, for this, you do not need to be a doctor, right? There are five hormones that every woman should at least recognize by name. One is estrogen. This is often called the female hormone. It is something that you probably have heard from, say, the health girlies, the TikTok girlies on the internet, wherever you must have heard of this. Estrogen affects your menstrual cycle, your skin, your mood, your bones, your libido. Okay? Estrogen is not just about reproduction like they try to force down our throats in secondary school during biology classes. All right? It also affects your confidence, your memory, and your energy. So sometimes when your confidence is low, you look in the mirror, you don't look so pretty, know that there's something wrong with your estrogen levels. If you look around and you just can't stop forgetting things, it's your estrogen, my love. If you notice that your energy is kind of low, it is your estrogen. All right. Secondly, we have progesterone. Progesterone is, let's say, estrogen's calmer friend, the saner one. It helps you regulate your cycle, helps you support sleep, it helps you balance your mood, basically. Now, when your progesterone is low, it can start to feel like anxiety, insomnia, or you start to feel emotionally overworked or overwhelmed. Third, we have testosterone. Yes, women have testosterone too. It's not just men that have testosterone, contrary to popular opinion. It helps to support your libido, your motivation, your muscle strength, and your confidence. Now, the low levels might look like you're tweaking, like you're about to lose your mind, okay? It does not mean that you're broken. It just means that your body needs support, right? And the other hormones will try their best to do that for you. All right. Four, we have cortisol. This is your stress hormone, okay? The short-term cortisol keeps you alive. Sometimes you need to feel the stress. Sometimes it is needed. Long term, if you have too much cortisol in your body, it can delay your period. It can worsen your PMS, and it can affect your sleep, even increase your anxiety if you already have anxiety. Now, chronic stress, like when I mean chronic stress, I mean if you're stressed all the time, it's not just mental. They might want to tell you that it is not always mental. It might be sometimes, but it is not always mental. Sometimes it is hormonal. Okay. Fifth, or the last, or the number five, is insulin. Insulin controls your blood sugar. When it is imbalanced, it can affect your weight, your cravings, your energy, and even conditions like PCOS. If you already have PCOS, if your insulin levels are low or too high, it can affect your current condition. Whatever symptoms that you used to have that you felt like you have, fixed or outgrown with the medications that you have might start to flare up again, or new symptoms might start to show up if your insulin levels are low or too high. Now, this is why hormonal health is very, very important. Okay? The hard truth is that medical research was done on male bodies for decades. And the result of this is that women's pain have often been termed, how do I put it, emotional. They have been minimized, blamed on stress, seen as unimportant, unnecessary, unfitting. So many women grew up thinking, okay, maybe that's just how my body is, or maybe I'm just stressed. But here's the truth: pain, exhaustion, irregular cycles, emotional distress, they are signals, they're not personality traits. Now, if you've had motherly figures around you, especially the ones from the previous generation, they would say certain things like, "Oh, this one you have heavy period. Ah, so yeah, you have it. Why do you have heavy flow? Me, I don't have heavy flow. I don't know where you got that one from. Oh. And me, that is your mother. I'm not like that. Or your aunt will be like, ah, well, in my family, it's not like it is not something to be passed down. Okay, everybody's hormones are different. Everybody's hormones, you know, are different. Everybody's body is different. Bodies are different, right? So these are not personality traits. This is why the research that was done doesn't necessarily or doesn't favor us. And because of this, when your body communicates with the hormones, the WhatsApp messages that I mentioned earlier, when it sends these signals, and we try to respond by going to the hospital to seek help, we often get turned down, not because that doctor is misogynistic, which could be the case, okay, but because there is just not enough research done on it. And so he doesn't have a point of reference, or she doesn't have a point of reference. Okay. Now, this series, this entire quarter, is not about diagnosing yourself. I am not here to give you armor to start diagnosing yourself. Okay. That is not what we're here for. It is about noticing patterns, asking better questions, understanding your body without fear, because sometimes your hormones can spike so much you start to feel afraid. It is normal to be afraid when your body starts to act out of turn. But when you understand your body, you can now stop fighting it, because one thing fear does is that it makes you just go into fight or flight and you start to fight your body. That is not what we're trying to achieve. That's what we're trying to achieve. That's what we're trying to fix here by giving you the knowledge that kind of the information that helps you. Now, as we go through this series, remember your body is not broken. It is just responding to its environment. You need to know. I will say that again. Your body is not broken. It is just responding to its environment. Now, next week, we're talking about something that many women misunderstand: your menstrual cycle. Your menstrual cycle, the topic menstrual cycle was started last year, but we just talked about periods. And I felt like we needed to tackle this through the hormonal point of view, which is why this episode was birthed. Okay. Now, if this episode resonated with you, it is time to share with a friend. Share it with a friend. You will not know how much they need it until you share it. If you've been here since last year, you know the drill. Share this episode, drop a comment. Let me know how this episode has helped you, or how you feel like this episode should help you. If you have questions, drop it in the comments. Let me know what to do to help. And follow us on Instagram. Yes, we are now on Instagram. Just search Her First Talk and you will find us on Instagram. This year, we are doing the intentional work. We are learning about our bodies properly. Okay, the proper way. We are not here to play about our bodies. We're here to glow and grow. Now, if you need references for further research, you can look for books. The Hormone Repair Manual by Dr. Lara Breeden. We have The Fifth Vital Sign by Lisa Hendrickson. We have Woman Code by Alisa Vitti. You can also search for, say, educational platforms like Cleveland Clinic or Mayo Clinic. They have topics, they have research done on hormonal health, endocrine system that can help you. All right. With that being said, I loved being here with you today, and I hope that this episode has resonated with you and has helped you one way or the other. See you next time. I love you. Bye.